Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to install this 8-gang switch panel made by Auxbeam along with this pair of LED off-road lights on my 2022 Ram Power Wagon. Unboxing the Auxbeam AC-800 RGB switch panel. This 8-gang switch panel was sent to me by Auxbeam for my unbiased installation and review. It comes with everything you see here to allow you to control up to 8 different LED lights or devices. It comes with a built-in solid-state relay and a remote control that allows you to control your automotive accessories from multiple locations. The circuit control box is IP65 waterproof rated and comes with a spare fuse and clamp. It also comes with this circuit breaker and all necessary wiring and a few mounting bracket options. The switch panel is RGB backlit and is Bluetooth capable, so you can control the backlight with an app on your phone in order to adjust the brightness and color to match almost any dashlight backlight color imaginable. The switches have 3 mode settings: toggle, momentary, and pulse, and they come with over 120 stickers with default icons for labeling numerous lights and devices that you might have. The lights I'll be installing are the Auxbeam XP Ultra Series 5-inch LED pod lights. These lights run off 110 watts and produce 11,000 lumens in either white or amber color, and come with mounting hardware and all necessary wiring, including a switch and a relay, which I won't be using for this install since I have their switch panel and control box. Now, although the lights and the switch panel were provided by Auxbeam, I went ahead and ordered my own mounting bracket. These are KC Hilites Ditch Mounts for a 2019 and up Ram 2500 or 3500. These are made to bolt up to the hinge mounts for the Ram 2500. Well, now I've already been scoping the area out here that I want to mount the fuse block and the circuit breaker or fuse that it comes with. Also been searching online a lot, and I think what I'm going to do is just mount it to the lid of the fuse box here, and then mount their circuit breaker or fuse to this little plastic cover here that it actually exposes your electrical posts here, I think, for installing accessories. You can see here, I believe this is the power wire for the winch, and this is coming from the fuse block, Power Wagon's fuse block. So hopefully that's strong enough to hold that in place there. I think it will be. I think once all the wires are installed, I think it'll hold well. And I'm going to have to access the firewall here. A bunch of places where wires already go through the firewall, and I think those would be my best bets, just to cut a hole through some of those already established rubber grommets. I'm also going to be installing, at least eventually, or maybe even during this install, my ham radio. So I'm going to need room for the positive and negative wire on that, and I'll plug that into this Auxbeam switch panel as well. But the cool thing is, once you have the switch panel installed here, you have basically a separate fuse block that you can install all future, or at least a number of future devices to it, up to 8, that you can manage and control with the switch panel in the dash. That'll be real nice. It'll make all future powered installations pretty straightforward once this is all installed here. All right, I'm going to remove this brace here with a 13mm socket just to kind of get it out of the way. It's much better. I proceeded to mark and drill the necessary holes to mount the included brackets to the lid of the Power Wagon's fuse box and the plastic cover from the top of the battery. I used the included fasteners that came with the switch panel kit. I then test fit the control box panel lid onto the Power Wagon's fuse box. At this point, I decided to disconnect the battery by removing the wiring harness from the negative terminal. I then test fitted the circuit breaker onto the battery and realized that I needed to make an adjustment to the location of where I mounted the circuit breaker, as the bottom fasteners were making contact with the terminal leads. Once I adjusted that, I also loosely reinstalled the brace I had removed earlier, just to make sure everything would still fit and function with that in place. Okay, it clears those posts that are underneath much better. It does hit this bracket, but I mean you can take this completely off if you have to. If you have to access these, the only reason you'd be accessing those would be to install something new. If you're going to jump it, you go there. In order to provide power to the switch panel, Auxbeam provides an extra fuse adapter, also known as a fuse tap or add a circuit. This provides for a nice plug-and-play power connection without having to cut or splice wires, and also adds fuse protection to the switch panel. The instructions suggest using a fuse that is on a switched circuit, meaning one that is only powered when the ignition is set to accessories, in order to prevent accidental battery drainage. Okay, just wanted to show you this up close. I drilled a little hole in the side of the fuse panel, or the fuse box right here, so I could run this tap wire without having to get it kinked, because this sits pretty flush. Actually, I think this piece goes inside there so that dust doesn't get in, but now I got this hole here, so this will shut pretty tight and it doesn't get kinked, which is good. I didn't want any wires to get kinked in this the fuse box door. And I'm tapping into this one right here. I can put the number of that fuse right there, but it is an always on. The instructions, and a lot of people run it through the accessory, but I want to be able to run lights even when everything's off. I can always switch that up at any time to a different one, but for now I'm using the always on fuse. Okay, fast forward a little bit here. I've got this connected. Have this wire back here going to the battery right there, and this wire connecting to the Auxbeam controller, and the negative I have running all the way to the negative terminal there. I have yet to connect it because well, I've got this going through that little hole, and I've connected those, crimped them. Now I've got this wire. I've run this through this hole here. Then I'll close this up, then run this wire through the firewall right there. Actually, what I might do is just kind of plug it in, see if it everything connects properly. And we have power. Nice. Wiring is all hooked up properly. I just need to run the wire here through the firewall and mount this. Depending on where you want to mount your switch panel, you may have to dig into your vehicle's dash. For my particular install, I am using an adapter plate made by Bulletpoint Mounting Solutions. This plate is made to attach the Auxbeam switch panel to their proprietary mounting arms, which provides a lot of flexibility in how I can position the switch panel on the dash. For this install, I'm going to be mounting the switch panel and my ham radio, the Kenwood D710, and its faceplate, to the bottom cubby located at the bottom of my center dash console. This will only work for Ram pickup trucks that have the front bench seat and not the full-length center console. Once I drilled the holes and fitted the mounts to the plastic dash cubby, I test fit everything in the dash and routed all the wiring, including wiring for not only the radio and switch panel, but also my phone, iPad, Garmin GPS, and external speaker for the ham radio. This was a tedious process, but the reward was well worth it, in my opinion. Okay, I've got everything kind of pre-wired here before I completely button things up. I've got the controller, the Auxbeam switch panel controller, or Auxbeam switch panel, sorry, and the ham radio positive and negative cables inside that loom. This loom right here goes to the antenna, NMO mount for the antenna. I'm running the little shorty stubby for now. If I go on a trip, I'll probably switch that to the taller one. But I've got that wire loom routed to right here, where the control box, or the switch panel's wire comes in right here, and here's the positive and negative. Into number 3 here, it's got a 20 amp fuse. I just wanted to be a little safe there. And so I'm gonna test it out real quick, just make sure the wiring's good. I've already reconnected the negative terminal just loosely. Now this is set for accessory, so. And we have power. I haven't put any of the stickers on there. And number 3 should be this one. And it fires up. One thing I wanted to do that I kind of forgot is mount the external speaker for the ham radio. And it's pretty tight back there. I still haven't quite figured out where to mount it yet, where it's not in the way, but that external speaker helps big time. It's so much louder and clearer than the built-in speaker on the Kenwood D710. So still a few kinks to work out, but I'm gonna button everything up here, and then I'll move on to the LED Auxbeam LED lights install.
I apologize for the audio here, as I had forgotten to turn on the microphone. But as I proceeded to install the Auxbeam LED pod lights and the KC Hilites Ditch Mount brackets, I soon noticed that they would not fit properly when closing the hood of the truck. This was after spending a decent amount of time adjusting them, as the instructions had said would need to be done. But even after that, I found that I would have to do a significant amount of trimming and modification in order to get these to work.
Okay, here's a little update. I'm a little bummed that I had to do this, but I wasn't getting it to sit flush and close on that side, so I just tried to do it on this side, and I had to cut and grind a significant amount of plastic and rubber off. You can see right here, all this had to be cut and grinded away in order for this to fit here. Now, before you say, well, you're supposed to adjust it and whatnot, I adjusted this every which way possible, and it was still, the hood would shut, but there would be a huge gap here, and it just looked crappy to me. I mean, I expect it to close a little better than that. It's like they didn't make, like, did they add this in the 2022s? I don't know. But even after grinding this much off, you can see there's a rubber piece here, plastic underneath there, and this part's really thick. And this would just barely, this now just barely fits flush right here once this closes. I'm not sure if I can illustrate that, but you get the idea. Yeah, I've already shut it now. Just a shame I had to cut all this off. I might put some putty here, or like JB Weld or something. If you have any ideas what could cover this plastic piece up, I think for now, just put some like black Gorilla tape or something. Good thing is it doesn't show up when you close the hood. I kind of went too far on the grinding here, but I know what to do. See, there's where that line loosely installed, but the bracket is on there tight now. And now I can finish up the wiring, and I'll have to do the same thing on the other side. Doesn't look too bad now that they're installed.
After performing even more grinding on the driver's side and making sure the bracket did not interfere with the driver's side windshield wiper assembly, I finally was able to wire the lights to the Auxbeam control box, zip tie all the wires, button up the dash, and finally test out the lights.
Okay, here's standard lights, headlights with the fogs. There's without the fogs. Here's bright lights or high beams. And here's with the Auxbeam 5-inch pods. I can probably face that one more to the right, or the passenger. But substantially better than just regular
LED lights, headlights. Not the brightest in the world, but I mean, for what they cost, definitely adds a lot of light. Just for reference again. No comparison.
Just wanted to show you the finished product here in the dash after it was all buttoned up. You can see here I have the Auxbeam switch panel with the bulletproof mounting point arm and bracket. I have it situated just high enough that it allows me to still shift the transfer case shifter, which is the manual shifter on the model of Power Wagon with the front bench seat. So that's good. I haven't tested out in the field, but it feels like it's got enough room there. I did get my external speaker for the Kenwood D710 installed into this plastic piece here. I had to kind of lift it up and then run the wiring underneath. A little bit cumbersome, but I really like the fit and finish of that. This is rock solid here. And the dash looks just like it normally would. I'm running the Bulletpoint, their Ruby grid, I think they call it, which attaches into two existing fasteners up here with 3 different arms. Got this one mag mount for my iPhone. This is for the Garmin InReach right here. This just mounts right up and docks basically with that. And this is for my iPad Mini 5, which I might move this around because this is so long on that side. It does tend to wobble a little bit when, especially when off-roading. And I might actually go with a different mount for the stuff up here, but that's kind of irregardless of what I did with the Auxbeam mount here. But this is kind of my finished setup here, pretty much, just other than maybe getting a different mount. So just to show you, I have this mounted directly to the battery. So if you push any of the buttons one time, it turns the backlight to the Auxbeam switch on. And this is the button for the radio. Pressing that turns on the ham radio, which now sounds much louder with the external speaker. This is just a charger for my iPhone that I have plugged in here to the USB ports. And the other 3 are being utilized by these 3 items. I got the iPhone lightning cable, the charge cable for this, and for the iPad, all going in down here. Let's just put on a weather station just to hear the audio.
62.550 megahertz originating from the Austin San Antonio Weather Forecast Office.
Not sure how well that comes through, but it is much louder with the external speaker than it was earlier with just the built-in speaker. But yeah, and then you can turn the pod lights on with the push of a button. And to turn it off, you just you can push that to turn the radio button off. But you know, some people might say, well, this is hardwired, this backlight's always on. But if you push the mode button, it kind of puts it into an off mode where only thing on is this light right here. But then to turn it on, you do have to push it once, or you can push the mode button. It kind of activates the switch panel. And then from there, you can run all your stuff. I don't yet have a bumper. I don't have bumper lights yet, but I just put that sticker on because that's where I plan to put it in. That's one of the 20 amp fuses. These first, or 30 amp, I believe, these 2, and then these are 20, and like 10 and 5, I think. Then another neat feature that comes with the Auxbeam switch panel is the remote control right here, which you can see here. If I use this, I can use this to turn off the radio or turn it on, or turn on the lights. So yeah, a really cool feature I like about the Auxbeam switch panel is the remote control, because I can do this, which I think is pretty awesome. Especially, I eventually plan to put some lights around the bed around, and a rooftop tent, and I'm going to be accessing that a lot at night and at camp. It'd be really cool to be able to just flip on and off the push of a button with this remote control, and I really like that feature. It also has it to where it can link up with your phone and use the app there as well, and also has an on-off switch, so you can program to turn on and off multiple switches at the same time, and that's a really cool feature. Right, just to show you the finished wiring, here's the both lights. I have them zip tied to this point right here, and then zip tied to the harness here, using multiple zip ties. This is all very solid, very stable. This bracket, this little plastic bracket, ended up being very solid, just like I thought once it was all installed. This is your antenna wire for the remote control. There's a coax connector up here. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. See right there, the coax. And here's where the ham radio into number 3, 20 amp. And here's the lights. I have power, positive and negative from each light twisted together, so you can just twist it together and then fasten down in the number 1 slot. And you can still access your standard fuse box if need be. Kind of got to just, the wires kind of all stick together there. Have it going through the hole that I drilled, and now using fuse F90. The reason I went with F90 is there's a power outlet up here on the dash, and I was wanting to plug my fridge into that, and F91 is what this is normally plugged into to make this on with the accessories, but if you use F90, it actually makes this on with the battery. And you can see right here they label it as being on with the battery. So I went ahead and just plugged the switch panel into that. That way it's on all the time, so I can turn on the lights or the radio without having to have the ignition in the accessory position. So what do I think about the Auxbeam 5-inch LED pod lights? I think they're great. I think especially for the money you pay for them, it's a very solid product. They're very well made. They feel very high quality when just from initial feel and touch, and the quality of the wiring, the relay and the harness was all very well done. The ones that come with the lights, you really, in order to run these, you don't need the Auxbeam switch panel. It comes fully wired with a relay and a momentary switch, an individual momentary switch that you can use with them. So I am really impressed with the Auxbeam lights. I mean, they're not the brightest lights in the world, I don't think. I think you might, if you really want something that's brighter for just having 2 individual lights, there's probably other options out there, but for what they are excellent. And they're definitely brighter than even just standard vehicle LED lights like the ones on the Ram Power Wagon. Maybe not that much brighter, but they allow for a much more widespread view and lighting area. And like I said, the way I have these mounted, they're meant to be ditch lights in order to light up ditches on the side of a road that you might be driving on. And I found it very handy for that. I was driving recently in a rural area, and you could easily spot out wildlife on the side of the road, and I really like that. We actually recently already took this out to on a trip to Big Bend National Park, and if you're not familiar with that area, it's very dark at night. It's one of the dark sky areas of the country. And they did very well, especially on the road that goes down to the Big Bend area. It's super dark, and these things just gave you so much more confidence lighting up so much of the roadway. Just a very good experience so far, and I really like the Auxbeam 8-gang switch panel, the AC-800 RGB switch panel. I love that you can adjust the backlight to match your vehicle or whatever color you want. It just provides a very nice, clean way to install electronic devices to your car, to your vehicle. And it's very well made. It's extremely good quality. I was expecting, maybe not as good quality as it was, but it is very good quality. I highly recommend getting the Auxbeam switch panel. But anyway, folks, that's going to wrap up this video. Hope you enjoyed this or found it useful. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell to be notified of the next video, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care, everyone.